what sort of some of the issues that you found with the traditional strength training that's solved with functional strength training?
When you're looking at any sport, and cycling is included in this, there has to be some likeness in the activity that you're doing for it to have a carryover to the activity you want to participate in. But if you can get something similar in a gym, in motion, that will translate to similar motions that are required on the bike or on the field or whatever it is you do, then it's going to have a greater carryover, so therefore a greater benefit for the person.
And this is one of the big issues about traditional strength training with machines, isn't it? Because the motion's very limited and the muscle's very isolated.
And look, machine training, even though there are developments now where a lot of the machines are coming out with cable attachments that allow greater ranges and variabilities in the movement. Traditional machine training was single plane, single muscle, and that was it. Okay, look, they're good for building hypertrophy. Okay,
so,
they're good for
that means big muscles.
Like your biceps, big
like
muscles.
My muscles. My cyclist biceps.
Your cyclist biceps, yes. Renowned.
So the bodybuilders really love that stuff. And is sort of traditional strength training still relevant for bodybuilders?
Look, it is. It is great for developing muscle, but you can still do functional movements that build hypertrophy. You've just got to adapt the acute variables like loads, intensities, time under tension, all that sort of stuff.
Sure, okay. And look, the other big thing about traditional strength training is really the injuries, isn't it? That's come from that sort of mentality.
I think that the injuries don't necessarily come from the exercises themselves. If they're done well, they're a great exercise. I don't believe there's any bad exercises. They can be done poorly, and then yes, they can cause injury. But the perception was that if we did deadlifts, we did squats, we did heavy bench presses in a powerlifting format, that it will translate into the power we need on the field or on the bike. Now you look on the field or on the bike and there's movement going everywhere. It's not single plane, you're not stationary, you're moving the whole time. So for you to believe that something that is single plane, single muscle maybe, no motion going in any direction, so no multiplanar movement, proprioceptively, which is that stimulation of the nervous system, they're generally quite poor, and they're repetitive in their action. Where's the carryover to having to need to change direction and power a bike up a hill, or whatever it is you do in your competition, there's not a lot of carryover to that. There's no likeness. So there may be some carryover, but over a greater spectrum of using the whole body, the reality is that you're not going to get the same results if you just train.
And look, time's really important. Like, I mean, a lot of the athletes that I'm working with, they don't have a lot of time. They're elite athletes, they're masters athletes, and they don't really have a lot of time. So obviously the sort of training that they want to do, it needs to be efficient and it needs to be translated across directly into cycling. So that's where I personally feel functional strength training really excels. Like I did a lot of research on strength training, and a lot of it's very sort of traditional based, and I thought, well, is that really translating? It just looks like just a classic strength training program from the 1980s. That's and a lot of material in the books was based around that. And it's interesting because obviously a lot of the exercises in our functional strength training DVD that we put together, and they do replicate those cycling positions, don't they?
They do, they do. Not all of them are sort of prone positions where you're on hands and toes, but even the lunges that we do, strayed away from the traditional lunge where your body's got to be upright, there's no movement through the trunk. We were doing lunges where we're leaning and rowing and all that sort of stuff, and changing the direction, getting the hips to move. Those things are important. It's all about developing three-dimensional motion through the body.